Imagine waking up tomorrow, and your job still exists, but it no longer works. Your salary comes in, your bank app shows numbers, but those numbers don't buy what they used to. Your degree is still framed on the wall, but nobody is hiring for it anymore. Not because you failed, but because the system that gave it value quietly stopped functioning. Now here's the uncomfortable question. If the system disappears, what part of you still has value?
Everything in modern life runs on a contract you never signed. Not legally, systemically. You were told, study hard, specialize, get certified, climb, and in return, the system will reward you. But here's the part nobody explains. That deal only works if the system itself keeps working. History shows something different. Not a failure of effort, not a failure of intelligence, but a failure of dependency. Because most modern skills are not standalone, they are plugins. They only function when connected to institutions, infrastructure, stable money, coordinated systems. And when those systems glitch, the plugins don't degrade slowly, they go dark.
Collapse doesn't look like a movie. It doesn't start with explosions. It starts with something much quieter, a shift in what people need. One week, people are upgrading phones. Next week, they're fixing broken ones. One month, people are planning vacations. Next month, they're figuring out how to stretch groceries. And in that shift, entire hierarchies collapse overnight. The person optimizing spreadsheets loses relevance. The person fixing generators becomes essential. Not because one is smarter, but because one is closer to reality.
Skill number 1, the fixers. There's a type of person who becomes more valuable when things break, not less. They don't predict the future. They don't need stability. They don't even need perfect conditions. They just need one thing. Something broken. And in a failing system, everything breaks. Machines break, supply chains break, homes break, processes break. Fixers operate in a completely different economy. Not the economy of upgrades, but the economy of extension. They don't ask, what's new? They ask, how much longer can this last? And that question becomes priceless. Because when replacement disappears, repair becomes survival.
Skill number 2, the interpreters. Now imagine something even stranger. You walk into a store. Prices are changing daily, sometimes hourly. Nothing makes sense. Is this expensive? Is this cheap? Is this fair? You don't know anymore because the signal is broken. In every unstable system, there are people who can still read the signal. They understand real value versus stated value, official prices versus actual prices, what something is really worth. These people are interpreters. They don't create goods. They don't manufacture products. They do something far more powerful. They translate reality. They can tell you, this price is fake, this deal is real, this currency is dying. And in a world where confusion is everywhere, clarity becomes a service people will pay anything for. Skill number 3, the producers. Now strip everything back. No global supply chains. No instant delivery. No abundance. What actually matters? Food, water, shelter. There's a category of people who don't depend on systems to access these things. They can produce them. Not at industrial scale, but at human scale. They understand how to grow, how to store, how to stretch, how to sustain. And here's the shift most people don't see coming. Production used to be normal, now it's rare. Which means in a crisis, it becomes powerful again. Because the person who can produce doesn't just survive, they become a node others depend on.
Skill number 4, the adapters. This last one is different. It's not a trade, it's not a profession, it's a mindset. Because every collapse has one thing in common. The rules change faster than people can react. And most people freeze, not physically, but mentally. They wait for things to go back. They wait for normal. They wait for instructions. Adapters don't. They experiment. They improvise. They rebuild. They don't ask, how do I use my old skill? They ask, what works now? And that question is the difference between decline and survival.
So here's the hierarchy nobody teaches. At the top are not the most educated, not the most specialized, not the most credentialed. At the top are the most independent. People whose value doesn't disappear when the system does, because their skills don't rely on permission, infrastructure, stability. They rely on reality. One day, nothing changes. Everything looks normal. Then slowly, quietly, things stop working the way they used to. And in that moment, you find out something most people never prepare for, whether your life was built on systems or on skills that survive without them. Because when the system disappears, what's left is who you really are in the economy. If you felt this shift your perspective, subscribe, because here we don't just talk about money, we talk about what still matters when money stops making sense.